Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, brought to you by the Ad Free Show's podcast feed and wrestling according to Alba Networks. I'm John Alba. That's the broken one. That's the woken one. That's the spoken one himself, but especially the broken one, Mr. Matt Hardy. What's going on, my man? Big week in Hardy country, huh?
Big week in Hardy country, no doubt about it. It was kind of good. We got some of the OG band back together. We had James Long, who is one of the original Broken Universe creators, alongside JB, me and myself and Jimmy and JB. We would sit outside on my deck around this white table outside, and we would sit down and we would write creative. We would come up with ideas. We'd brainstorm, and I'd have certain ideas, and they would kind of help me with execution and how to shoot it. And it was very cool to get that crew back together.
We're going to talk all about it here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, as the Broken Hardys are making their WWE debut 8 years after WWE probably would have liked them to have made their debut. And we're going to talk all about how that all came together and look back at some of the story of the whole legality in bringing the Broken Hardys to WWE, because that was a battle in and of itself. But you guys are going to be at Halloween Havoc this coming weekend, and Coach Rosie, who's watching live via WrestlingCoinAlba.com, says I'm over the top to have Broken Matt coming to Arizona. So
Coach Rosie, I'm excited to come on to Arizona, man, and see you, my man.
Going to be a fun time. Excited to see what the Hardys got going on there. You have been all over the freaking place the last few weeks. It has been nonstop for you. How are you surviving right now?
I mean, I'm working like it's 1999. What's going on here, John?
I don't
Too
know,
old
man.
for this shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's been great, man. No complaints. It's been great. Just the resurgence of TNA has really made me happy. That's something Jeff and I fought really hard for. We bet on ourselves, and we it's something you get into with Jeff at some point. He just made the decision after he saw me at TNA and he was at AEW. He's like, oh, maybe I could stay here and have a singles run, whatever. He's like, man, I had such great memories and such great times at TNA. Like, I'd like to go back, and like TNA's starting to do good. They're starting to get hot again, and I think I could add to it. And, when he came back at Against All Odds and joined me at the end of the match when I had the main event with Moose for the world title, that was really the starting point. And Jeff and I, our goal was to do everything that we could to help TNA grow into a bigger market. And he was just talking about this the last couple of days, especially this last weekend when we were out at this big Texas Comic-Con, about how Bound for Glory was such a big hit for us in Detroit. And that's where we won the TNA tag team titles again in the Full Metal Mayhem Reimagined, right? And we had a crowd of about 3,400. We were sold out and we were rocking, so happy about it. And then fast forward a year later, and we have a crowd of almost 8,000, which was super cool, man. And like, we could not be more proud of that growth, and we were contributing factors to it. And Jeff and I, we both feel like we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And I think all the universal signs point to that.
I think it's been pretty crazy that you guys have followed the path that you're on right now, and you're collecting belts left and right. I mean, you're freaking running Six Flags Great Adventure near where I grew up while you're defending an Indies championship. I mean, it's amazing what you guys.
Hey, man, as West Side Gun would say, what's better than 3 ropes? 4 ropes. We're going to be a 4th rope. That's right, in Jersey.
You're running the stunt venue there, which is nuts. It's just crazy seeing you guys literally everywhere. You're going back and forth from Arizona to Toronto and flying all over. I mean, it really is like it's 1999 for you guys. And I mean, are you enjoying it? Is it fun for you?
Yeah, no, it's been a blast. Yeah, the toughest thing is just finding a healthy balance. Like, even when I was gone for that week, during Bound for Glory week and the whole NXT thing, it was about 12 days I was gone. I was home for 16 hours at one point. It's just hard being away from the kids more than anything else, but thank God I can FaceTime them and I can send them videos, and I send them videos ad nauseum. I know my wife, she probably doesn't even show them all the videos because I send them videos nonstop. Right. So it's great to communicate, and I love when they send videos back. So it's really cool. And I'm glad that they get to watch us have this level of success, especially at at more of an advanced stage, as we've been doing this for a while. And I just said, guys, I just want to make it through to you guys can start. As soon as you guys start, then I'm 100% ready to be out the game. I just want to be your corner man and the wheel man.
Well, what? Maxwell is 10,
Yeah, he'll be 11 in June.
11 in June.
7.5 years away. We were just actually doing this math last night, and I was calculating everything. It's like, so it'd be 2033 is when you'd be up and
Well,
ready
he
to
can
go.
start training earlier than that.
He could. I said, Max, in all honesty, if you wanted to, and if you applied yourself and you did good, I said, I think when you turn 18 years old, you could sign a WWE contract.
I didn't
And
think
you
about
could go by the term of the Hardy Boys.
it. Brody Lee Jr. is
Oh,
out
yeah.
in the Heart Dungeon like every day,
Oh, yeah.
crushing it right now, teaming with all those guys and training with all them. Certain programs have juniors programs.
And I mean, he'll do that. He's so passionate about it. Brody will be 18. He'll be working at AEW or
dude,
wherever.
he's gonna like know his shit. He's gonna be good.
Of course. I
He's
mean, he's a lifer. He's been around the business his whole life, and there's no substitute for that. Even like my kids, that they're not like obsessed with it like Brody is right now, but they're kind of into it, and they have all these other interests too. But they understand how things work because they've been around it their entire life, and they've heard about it from me, and they've watched me, so they understand. And there's no substitute for that actual understanding of kind of what pro wrestling is.
Well, your kids are very performative, and they get that part of it, and that's almost like an instinct that you get at some
Yeah.
point. You just have a performer's instinct, and you can apply it to whatever you're trying to do. And I mean, how do you feel about when some of these younger wrestlers like start training at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old? Because it is a lot more common now.
I mean, the one thing that I am a little concerned about is just I want to make sure their body is fully developed, that their bones and their joints and their ligaments are fully developed. I still to this day, and I believe this. I think Jeff and we did ourselves a huge favor because we didn't drink, we didn't do any drugs, we didn't do anything until we were 25 years old. I was 25 and Jeff was 23, whatever. But like we fully, even our organs and everything else, I think our body grew to be as healthy as it possibly could. We were both worked out, we were both in shape, and we just took such good care of us, took great care of ourselves. I think with young people, I think you just have to be careful about taking bumps and abusing your body too early before your body is fully developed.
It's definitely something that has been a little more controversial over the past couple of years, because you'll see like in training where it's collaborative and it's a process together, someone who's 22 body slamming a 15-year-old, 16-year-old. And there's some promotions that have rules of like what type of bumping someone who's training can do, where the only extent of bumping that they can do is on their own and not actually being bumped by somebody else or having a move performed on them. And I think it's a very interesting topic that doesn't get talked about enough, because there are some great young wrestlers who have been wrestling since they were 14 years old. They've been training since they were 13 years old. And I'm curious if that does give them an actual leg up, or if it's something, as you alluded to, it could be problematic for their growth at the same time.
Later. I mean, Leon Slater started very early. He was wrestling very, very early on, and I think it was advantageous to him. But that is one of the concerns, especially for my children, which I am heavily invested in. I would like for them to go out, and it's fine to roll around and do that, but I would want to wait until they were a little older, until they were 16 before they were like trying to take bumps hard. I don't feel like at 12, 13 years old is the time to be going out there and going nuts,
Yeah.
And then once, you're 18 years old, then like, I feel like you're typically close to being fully grown by that point. So it's going to be interesting. It's just going to be interesting to see if they still enjoy wrestling, if they have an interest in doing it, or if it changes, or we'll see where they're at. And there'll probably be a part of them too, as they get older, they'll realize like, hold up. So I could do this thing that I think is really cool and I can make like some money, or I could do wrestling and I can make a lot of money, so that's going to be a real interesting perspective of theirs too.
And they're wrestling in Ocala, Florida for $20, and they say, I don't know, maybe this isn't all the wrestling money that I can be making. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're main eventing WrestleMania. So who's to say? Who will see? I mean, you think Barty's going to be the athlete, right? You think he's going to be the hoss of the family?
Barty's going to be the most dominant physically. He's going to be the most physically dominant, I think.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Matt's pretty athletic though, from what we've seen of him so far.
No, he absolutely is. He absolutely is athletic, and he's also very physical. Like none of them want to fight Maxwell right now. You know what I mean? If there's a beef, I was like, brother, you're barking up the wrong tree with Maxwell right now. Just because of his age, he's like got a huge advantage on you.
There you go. And Gothic Baby, who knows? Well, she's
Gothic Baby, who knows? I mean, I think it's Rebby's worst nightmare whenever she says that, like, Dad, I want to be a wrestler too. I want to be a wrestler. So she's kind of leaned into that a little more recently. So funny. We were just talking about how she was on last night and her Gothic Baby gimmick on NXT. And this is pretty amazing. This is a pretty amazing fact. I guess this is somewhat of a Matt fact. Evie is 4 years old and she has been on WWE TV, TNA TV, and AEW TV, which is pretty remarkable.
That is. She's like, it's like you, her, and Jericho. I mean, Jericho,
right?
Ozzy did TNA one time, I think. So that way you've all you've been in that category. Hey, speaking of Jericho, this is a good transition actually, because this was a big topic this week. Tony Khan did talk about Chris Jericho's future in AEW, which frankly, it doesn't sound like there's much of a future in AEW. A lot of reports seem to indicate he's going to be WWE bound at the beginning of the year. What do you make of all that? You know Chris pretty well. He's going to be 55 years old, I think. What do you think could be in store for his future, and what's the impact he's had on AEW?
I mean, first off, I'll start by saying I love Chris Jericho. I think Chris has contributed so much to the business over the years. It was really cool. He did an interview with us, and myself, Jeff, and the Duds, we all did talk as Jericho, and it was great just catching up with him there for a few minutes. I almost think it's one of those things where I just think the AEW fan base has had their share of Chris Jericho in many ways, and I think creatively he's done pretty much everything he can do there. I mean, unless they want to put him back into the main mix, but I don't think the fan base would be up for that, even though they could probably make that work in some capacity. Chris has always been really good at understanding when it's like time to like go away or take time off and come back and recharge or refresh. And I feel like the time is right. I feel like if he came back to WWE, it'd be a huge moment, especially in a Royal Rumble, wherever that appearance it would be massive. And then I feel like there would be a good run he could do, even if it is his last run and he retires at the end of it, like Cena did. But I think they would honor him and do right by him. And I think it'd be a big deal for WWE, especially in the immediate future.
So would you go full on retirement tour like Cena style?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that I think that's a possibility, something they could do. I think this full on retirement tour with John Cena will probably open up some ideas for other people that might want to do that, in reality. But I do think Chris could go back there. I think he could work as a character. He could do an amazing run for a year, and work. I think you use him sparingly. You put him in positions to succeed. Highlight his strengths as a character, as a talker, everything else, and he can still get in the ring and go at a pretty high level. And I think that's part of the business that has changed. Like you have a lot of guys that have taken a lot better care of themselves when they were younger, and they can still work on a much higher level at an older age. Chris Jericho is an example of that. Myself and Jeff, we're examples of that. Edge and Christian, they're examples of that. And there's still a lot of benefit to those guys, in top positions in some ways. So I think if you use them smart, if you put him in a position to succeed, you have a smart booker who knows what they're doing with him. I think he's a huge contributing factor to any company.
Yep. And as our own Rosie here notes, he's going on the cruise next year, and Jeff's going to be part of the musical headliners for I forget, it's not the Jericho cruise now. It's a different name, but for the first time since AEW's inception, AEW people won't be on it. So I think that might be a pretty big sign as to where things could be headed for Chris Jericho in that sense. But I'll tell you, man, him going to AEW when it launched was probably the most important thing that happened to the promotion in terms of giving it legitimacy out of
no
the
doubt.
gate.
I mean, and that's one of the things that Chris and I think that's something we've always shared and had in common. He's always been one of those who has been up to like take a chance and step outside, especially if he thinks there's a ton of potential and he believes in a project or whatever else, because he's always done that and kind of bet on himself. You know, he hasn't really been committed to necessarily doing one thing. I know he had a great love for WWE. He had a great love for Vince and all the opportunities he gave him and whatnot. And just some of the conversations they had when the whole AEW thing came around are pretty funny and pretty comical at the end of the day. But him doing that was a huge deal. And he was the face. He was the face and the champion of AEW in the beginning. And he's the guy that really got it off the ground.
He certainly was. He was very important for it. So I recognize that he had a great run. I think he probably reached his expiration point in AEW, and now it's time for him to round third, head home on his career, contribute in a way where he can lean a little more into some of the goofiness that he likes to get at, and I think he'll work well. I'm curious who he'd work with in WWE, where he would work, but I do think that they'll find a way to make it work. So we'll see probably in the beginning of the new year with Chris Jericho. Something that did happen on AEW TV this past week. Everyone's been talking about it. This fish tank spot in the I Quit match between Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. Everyone's got an opinion on this. Protect the kids, some say. Others say, man, there's been way worse in wrestling. What say Matt Hardy?
You know, I saw this spot, and by no means do I think this is the worst thing that AEW has ever done. You know, I mean, I think right now, if you watch AEW and you're one of the fans, you know, they cater to more of a hardcore audience in many ways. And that doesn't mean hardcore like ECW, like do crazy things or these death matches or what. It means people who want to see 5-star matchers.
I'd argue it's both, Matt. I'd say I'd say it's both, truthfully. I think both of those things are
a little bit, but what I'm saying, just people who like love like hardcore wrestling and more adult oriented wrestling, as opposed to like catering to kids. Where I get, if I was running a business, if I was in charge of a major company, I would try and cater to kids, because kids, I feel like, bring in a lot of business at the end of the day. I would try and walk the line and still be edgy in some ways, but like as far as the fish tank spot, sure, it's not the greatest thing to see on wrestling TV, but I mean, you can say that from TNA, you can say that from WWE. There's been incidents that have happened across all those places where there's been controversial things that, you know, kids should not try at home or whatever else. So there was a lot of outrage about it. And just once again, online, just the discourse online is just exhausting, John. Just, I mean, if you hate something and you just had nothing but disdain and disgust for it, just
don't watch it.
well, on top of not watching it, like, don't comment on it.
Yeah.
There's never been a time where there's been something that I didn't like that I got online and I wanted to rant and rave about. I mean, I just don't. The only time I would ever rant and rave online is if someone is being critical of me because of something that they thought was piss poor when it wasn't piss poor, you know, and those are the same people that I'm talking about. It's just that there's so much of that goes on now at social media, and it's just a lot of it is just done in bad faith, and it's just people trolling and just people that are unaccountable. That, you know, it gives them the opportunity to be a dick, and it sucks, and it is what it is. But just like at some point, people have to like step up and be mature and stop that from happening. Like stop going on those things. If there's something you hate, don't watch it. Don't comment on it. Don't talk about it. That's the best way. If you really hate it and you don't give a shit about it, then like, don't think about it. Because if you're constantly thinking about it and talking about it, then you are half-ass obsessed with it.
I mean, think about it. You see a movie, you're like, that's really bad. I thought this movie sucked. You're probably never watching that movie again, right? Like it's as simple as that. You move on with your life.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not going to write tweets about it for 3 days. Nonstop. Debating, you know. Just in a debate, you won't win.
You don't want to get in a fight with at Scott 3649586755309.
No, I would prefer not to. There's been times over the years where I have maybe picked out a battle here or there or defended myself because I thought I was better than what they were claiming, or I was trying to educate someone to the error of their ways, or why what they're saying I do not agree with, but at the end of the day, man, I mean, you can't rationalize with those people when it's all said and done. So, dude, I mean, if you're a parent, I get that, but it was on late, it was pay-per-view, and it is what it is. That is what Tony Khan's audience digs, and he is catering to his audience. And I've had these conversations with you. I think sometimes Tony Khan caters to somewhat of a niche audience. And I know we have a difference of opinion on this thing, but it is what it is. Like I think you want to get all of the eyeballs that you can possibly obtain on your product when it's all said and done. I think that's the way to try and optimize your money and your reach and everything else. But it is what it is. And at the end of the day, this is Tony Khan's company. It's Tony Khan's money and the Khan family money. So, I mean, they can do what they want to do. And I mean, this isn't something to be so outraged about just because it has happened in other places. It just is what it is. And if it's something you don't like, then it's simple. Don't watch.
I could not agree anymore with you. I wish more people took that mentality of just ignore it and get it out of your airspace if it's taking up so much real estate. I know that you did like seeing Final Boss Sting, though, in that main event.
Oh my God, yes. I'm glad you even brought that up. And I'm so glad. He calls this character Old Man Sting. And he had told me before, like, he really wanted to do this on his, his final run and like the final match with the Young Bucks. He really wanted to be Old Man Sting. So I am so happy he got to do that, because I've done so many cons with Sting in his paint. Old Man Sting, myself and Jeff, we're doing the final time he paints in December, which I'm super excited about. This is in Pittsburgh. Dude, Sting is probably the guy I have the most respect for in the business. He's just a good dude. He wants everyone to succeed. When we were talking about that crazy match we had where it was myself, Jeff, Sting, and Darby, and Jeff ends up doing that swanton and puts Butcher and Blade through the tables, there's a point where he says, like, Matt, do you want to jump? I mean, Jeff, if you don't want to jump, I'll do it. And he is just so amazing. The older guy, the vet, said that and like threw it out there. It was incredible, man. He has the best attitude. He is a role model. He is someone that I inspire to be. The way that his career has gone down is someone who inspires me and motivates me every single day of my life. And the fact that he is just such a good human being and so good morally, I have nothing but love and respect for Sting. He is the best. He is the absolute best, period.
Sounds like Old Man Matt Hardy could be a gimmick one day.
Oh, it could be. It definitely could be.
I mean, the Hardys are forever.
Shave the hair and get a big goatee.
The Hardys are forever, so I don't know if there'll ever even be an Old Man Matt Hardy, but I don't know. There could be some money there to make right on something that was left on the table, and we'll just have to see. Lastly, I'll ask you this: any thoughts on all this Seth Rollins business? Because we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week all that much. He's no longer the champion. Sounds like he got hurt. Anything you want to add on that? Because it's been a pretty big story in the wrestling discourse.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to hear that Seth got hurt, because Seth is fantastic. He is so good. I love everything he's been doing. I mean, the stuff he's been doing with Punk, the stuff he's done for the last couple of years has been so good, so entertaining, and he busts his ass, man. He's so talented. He's such a great worker, and getting to work with him when I was there from 2017 to 2020 was a privilege, and it was great to kind of see the way his mind worked and the way he looks at the business. And he really is someone who's a student of the game, and he's like on top of his shit, so I hate that for him, man. And he was having such a good run. He was having such a good run with him and his wife, and they were on top. So I hate that he unfortunately got hurt, but that kind of comes with the territory, right? That's part of the business, especially when you're carrying the company as the champion.
Sure is, man. It sucks, but we'll see how they pivot. It looks like they're going to do CM Punk and Jey Uso for that world title. So one of those guys, in theory, should walk out as world champion at Saturday night's main event on November 1st.
You think Jey Uso is going to go to the dark side?
They're trying to make you think that, at least. We'll see. I do think CM Punk should be world champion. I do think there's a lot of equity in him doing that. But I also think that they should not have taken the gas off on Braun Breaker, because I was ready to see them run with Braun Breaker now. It's one of those things, Matt, with wrestling where sometimes I think people just get a little scared to commit to something that wasn't in the plans and they want to let it play out and go longer and longer. Sometimes I think you just got to roll with what's hot and people are into a hot angle and jettison someone into a big position. And I would have liked to have seen that for Braun Breaker, because right now in the WWE main event scene, almost everyone involved is in their late 30s, early 40s. So you have someone who's in their 20s here who has captured the hearts, minds, and imagination of a lot of people. He's super over. I would have liked to have seen them run with it and give him a shot and see what happens. That's what happened with Randy Orton, right? Gave him a
Yeah,
super young run.
and genetically, he's really good at math too.
People are saying this. So there's a
That's what the
66
streets are saying.
is a 66.6% chance that he would have gotten over with 100% chance of running with that character. So I would have liked to have seen them do it, man, honestly. And I think wrestling these days is a little behind the curve in putting young guys in big positions because they're scared or they want to elongate something or I don't know. I just think there's a lot of people who should be willing to take a chance a little more on someone.
Something I want to say here, regardless of what people think, I think about Punk. It is what it is. I do think Punk deserves a legitimate world title reign with all his work since he's been back. I think he's been great. And I would like to see that happen at some point, because I truly do think CM Punk is deserving of it. He has worked really hard. He's been a huge he's been a huge part of the WWE product since he's been back and returned, and that is something he is deserving of. I think with all there's so Jey Uso's been such a polarizing figure. I think the way maybe you get him over that hump is to have him embrace the dark side and he turns heel maybe. And then I think you get his ass back over again when it's all said and done to being a big baby face. Because, there's so many people that are critical of, his work isn't, on par with however his character or persona is or whatever else. But I mean, Jey Uso's a guy too I would like to see succeed and do well for himself. He's someone I like a lot, someone I have a lot of respect for. So it is going to be a really interesting battle between those two. But I think when it's all said and done, John, I think within the next year, Braun Breaker is going to ascend to this position that you're wishing for him.
I hope so. I just think that sometimes we get too in the weeds of let it play out and we need to tell this super long story, whereas you can tell a great story while still giving someone an unexpected moment. And they felt like they had a lot of harnessed energy from that big segment they did. And the air kind of came out of the tires a bit this past week where they pushed him back down to the level that he's been at. So could be wrong. Hope I am. But I do think CM Punk should become champion at some point very soon, which could happen. So we'll find out there. That is going down November 1st. But on November 22nd, Matt Hardy.
Yes, sir.
The Hardy Boys are coming to New York City. Very, very excited for all of this. The Hardy Party, live Matt Hardy podcast, live Jeff Hardy concert, a VIP meet, greet, and delete for the ages, plus some great food and drinks at the iconic Connolly's in Times Square, New York City. This is just a few days after John Cena has his final appearance at Madison Square Garden, but the Hardys aren't going anywhere. They're going right to Connolly's on 45th Street, as a matter of fact. HardyBoysLive.com, HARDYBOYZ Live.com is where you get your tickets for this event. Feeling ready, man? It's today as we take this. It's a month from today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, man. Everything is bigger in the Big Apple, and this is looking like it is going to be the biggest Hardy party we have ever had. And I think this is going to be massive, man. I think, especially being in New York City, being in Times Square, my brother is so excited for this. He has such a great love for music, and just New York City is the greatest city in the world, and Jeff is so psyched and amped to be performing there. This is going to be a huge deal. If you haven't been able to grab your tickets yet, you should get them ASAP, because this thing will sell out. It is going to be the biggest Hardy party ever. It's going to be a part of history, and it is going to be a very, very special show that I cannot wait for.
I'm very excited. HardyBoysLive.com is where you are going to be able to pick up your tickets for this event. We would love to see you in the heart of Times Square, because it's true. You never know what kind of Matt Hardy you're going to get. He might be broken, or he might be woken. And the reason he's woken is because he's using Blue Chew, because he's taken his gimmick from broken to woken every single week at the Hardy compound. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet, it's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting, like someone gave your downstairs a little bit of a pep talk, maybe a gym membership. Man, this is the absolute best way to get your gimmick in proper check, isn't it?
When it's time to stand up, Blue Chew is all you need. And you'll be standing tall and at attention, my man.
Matt Hardy carries his Encyclopedia Britannica everywhere he goes, because he's looking brick when he enters that door, confident when he sees Queen Rebecca saying, oh, we're not going to get into those details here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, but you know what I'm putting down. And it's not about performance. It's about legacy. It's about your third legacy. Give the group chat something to talk about, because you know when you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. We got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code Hardy at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety information. And big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. All right, my friend, it is time to get down to business on the Extreme Life. But before we can, I got to ask, please hit us with that Matt Fact.
Matt Fact, Matt has a newfound respect for the Dudleys.
I take it a lot of people were coming up to you in the past week about the match.
Unbelievable, John. Yeah, we did. It's very cool. We were at the big Texas Comic-Con, and they awarded myself and Jeff with the title. I still got to make a video. I just haven't had time. It's just been nonstop. Go, go, go. They award us with a title, a championship belt, which is funny. It's like, come on, guys, this is a big rib. I'm already carrying 4 of these around. And it was for Jeff and I, because we were the biggest draw. We were the busiest people. We did the most sales on Saturday, which is cool. And like the headliner who was there, Anthony Starr, you know him, I take it, from Homelander, from Banshee, everything else. I mean, we were the biggest selling act that day. And there were a couple different families that lived in Texas. We were in San Antonio. One was in Houston, one was in Austin. And they told us that they flew their family to Boston to make the trip over to Lowell, specifically to watch our match, the final table, the Hardys versus Team 3D, which was like mind-blowing, that we had sold that pay-per-view like that. And then there were people that came through. They were just saying, oh my God, I watched the TNA show Bound for Glory. It was incredible. I loved it so much. Your match was so great with Team 3D. And I'm so happy you guys did it. And I just can't tell you, I was so emotional at the end. I mean, and I heard that from 100 people over the week. And I have never, ever had that much feedback immediately after a pay-per-view was aired. I mean, this was within a week, because this was, Friday and Saturday were our two big days. This was within a week of it happening, because it happened on the Sunday before. 100 people came through. They had bought the pay-per-view. They had watched this match. They were, raving about it. They were talking about the match with this great reverence. It was wild, but it was so cool. And it made me feel at peace with what we did. And the fact that Devon really did bust his ass to get as healthy as he possibly could. He went to the doctor. He got cleared. They said, you're okay to do this. Jeff and I, we did everything we could to take care of him, make sure he would stay as healthy as possible. Bubba, he was all in for it, and once again, it was these guys' idea to retire. And then when they took their boots off, they gave us their boots. We had no idea they were going to do that. But once again, it was so unselfish. And they kind of gave us, considering they're leaving, the Dudley boys are done. They give us their boots, and we kind of have to now carry on their legacy in some ways. And I think that's something that will play into some stuff we do in the future. And they were up for everything, and it really is a newfound respect, especially in pro wrestling, where it's such a cutthroat dog world, and people know that Bubba is very outspoken on everything he does. Bubba was so selfless with everything in that match. And the fact that they did that and took off their boots, gave them to us and endorsed us, it was just great, man. And I think it brought us closer together as friends. We've always kind of all been close, but it was just a really special moment. And I'm so happy that Devon got to have a final match with one of his greatest rivals of all time. And it was in a special spot on a special show that everyone will remember for the foreseeable future.
Have you asked either of them what they think about the beautiful city of Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by chance?
You know, what is funny about that is that you know, I know there was talk of them doing something before, but I don't know if Devon would be able to clear a WWE physical test.
I'm just trolling.
No, I know you are. But I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see the Dudleys have the Hardy Boys back, maybe in Saudi Arabia. We'll cut them in, brother.
Just for a wee fee.
Just for a wee fee.
I didn't.
Big Money Matt still lives on. I mean, it's not just Broken Matt that lives in this vessel. Big Money Matt's in here too. Just a wee fee.
That's true. I'm well aware. We didn't even talk about him last week for some reason when we talked about the match, but that was kind of cool seeing Spike Dudley there too.
No, it was great. It was great seeing Spike there. It was good seeing him, and it was a great little addition. It added something very special to the match. So,
dude, I love Spike. I love watching Spike Dudley. You talk about fearless. Jeff's fearless. Spike Dudley might be just as fearless as Jeff.
Yeah. Well, you should have heard Spike Dudley talking about how glad he is he never takes bumps anymore and how he will never take a bump again in his life.
I mean,
which is, he said, brother, let me tell you, once you stop taking these bumps, you can't take them anymore. Trust me.
I mean, I would understand that considering some of them that he took were just absolutely insane over his career. But yes, so that's cool. So you guys, you turn the page on the Dudley match and now you're looking forward to this Broken Rules match in WWE against Dark State at NXT Halloween Havoc. So there, this promo, after you guys get taken out by Dark State last week, this promo on WWE this week, I didn't even know this promo was coming, where they came to the Hardy compound, they're shooting you guys, you're talking about the match, but they've left you in a broken state, and all of a sudden, bam, it's the Broken Hardys out of the Lake of Reincarnation. There's going to be a Broken Rules match. First, what is a Broken Rules match? I've had a lot of people ask me this.
A Broken Rules match is basically a match with no rules where anything goes, anything can be used. You can fight all over the building and the venue. The standard rules of a pro wrestling match typically are broken.
Okay, so this is an actual match. This is not a cinematic match. This is a real match we're going to see in the ring.
This will be a real match in the arena, yes.
Okay, that clarifies some questions from some people.
Yes.
So this will be an actual match.
We will be in Arizona, and we will be going nuts.
Okay, all right, that's fair. So it's basically a no DQ match that we're going to be seeing between you guys here, and who knows with the Broken Universe what else could end up happening and coming out of that.
Right.
But this is kind of a big deal that the Broken Hardys are in WWE because this may blow a lot of people's minds who didn't realize this, but this is the first time that you guys, as the Broken characters, the Broken Hardys moniker, are performing in WWE.
It's the first time that adjective of broken has been put in front of Matt Hardy or the Hardys, which is very cool.
It is, but it's not even just that. Like, you and Jeff did not, it wasn't like we got the Woken Hardys, you know, like there was no even iteration of that character of you guys working together because Jeff was hurt while you were doing the Woken stuff. And then he was on the other brand. You were on one brand. And when you guys reunited, you went back to more of the classic Hardy Boy moniker that you carried around. So this is the first time, 8 years after you guys returned to WWE, the first time that we're seeing the Broken Hardys character, that we're seeing Brother Nero in full outside of one brief cameo in the cinematic match in WWE. And I think that's just kind of crazy.
It is. It is wild. It's very cool. I was thinking about that whenever I delivered that line, I said, I I think even the suggestion was like, there has been an awakening of the broken Hardys. And I said, no. I said, no, you have woken. I said, we have to throw in the woken just to pay tribute as a callback. I said, you have woken the broken Hardys. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, because that's the first time I've been acknowledged as like broken Matt on WWE programming, which was very cool. So yeah, it was wild, because when I first came and we did our thing at WrestleMania, it was a really big deal. Vince was pretty adamant. He wanted us to return as the Hardy Boys. And I tried to kind of play like this, morph version of Broken Matt and Matt Hardy of the Hardy Boys. I kind of tried to stay in the middle to kind of keep that alive, because I knew Triple H had said too, like, this is great. We get a great run with the Hardy Boys. You guys tag champs. Then maybe we get a great run with, Broken Matt and Brother Nero. I think there's a lot of cool things we can do, because, the Broken Universe and Broken Matt is what ultimately brought us back to WWE. Vince was saying, why is the crowd doing this? Delete. Oh, there's something Broken Matt and his brother Jeff are doing right now. Well, fuck, bring them home. And that's how our path back to WWE began in all reality, because we got ourselves over so big at TNA back in the day. And Hunter was someone who was a big advocate for that. And he really wanted to try and do something with a broken Matt Hardy. And then once Vince signed off on it and I started doing the thing with Bray Wyatt, we got to the point where TNA had started pushing it with the new management of Anthem, who was listening heavily to Jeff Jarrett, where there was a battle for the trademark. Who owned the trademark? Myself and Jeff, we've been out here. We've been paying for a lot of the shoots. We've been doing this. We've been doing that. And then they claim, because it was their company and on their show, they own the trademark. So that battle for the trademark is kind of what changed us from not using Broken Matt Hardy in the beginning. And then eventually, a few weeks into that, while I was working with Bray, we ended up winning the battle legally, and they ended up kind of just tapping out on that side, the Anthem side. And they just said, you know what, we're just going to change everything from here out. If you come to TNA or you work with Anthem and you create a character or you have a name, you can take it wherever you want to, and we're not going to stop you, because we're like not paying people enough to lock down their intellectual property.
There's a lot to get into about what you just said. So let's clarify the timeline. When you are acknowledging that your run with TNA is going to be coming to a close, you're doing the Ring of Honor stuff, you're going to be going to WWE. Maybe it wasn't in the plans to have you be broken. Go ahead.
We didn't do Ring of Honor until we finished with TNA.
You were finished with TNA, but you knew you were going to WWE when you got on board with Ring of Honor.
While we were active at Ring of Honor. And but once again, and I've said this before, Jeff Jarrett, who I'm going to say right now, I love, have a lot of respect for, just at this time in his life, he wasn't in the best place. And we were having these major differences, and he'd kind of been brought back in, almost handle talent relations with Anthem, and they're a new company. They didn't really know a lot about wrestling, and he was able to get in there and do that. And he was the guy that was battling this out more than anything else. And while we were in Ring of Honor, after we beat the Bucks, we showed up, beat the Bucks of Youth, blah, 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 blah. That's where we started getting these legal letters. Like, you can't use Broken Hardys. You can't use Broken Matt. You can't do this. You can't do that. And we're like, no, I mean, we can, because like nobody really owns that. And like, we can fight for this, because we paid for so much of the stuff that ended up making us famous out of the Hardy compound and a lot of these shoots, because a lot of that we funded out of pocket. But we offered to come in and drop the tag team titles to whoever they wanted at TNA. We were more than happy to do that. Said, if you want Decay to win them back, which I would guess it would probably be, that was like our greatest rival at that time. I said, but whoever, we'll come in and we'll drop the TNA titles. And I remember Jeff Jarrett said back to me, he said, no, we're not having you come back. We're not going to put you on TV again. Just give those titles to Shane Helms, have him bring them to work. We're like, well, okay, that's what you want. I mean, but like, we were more than willing, because like we talked about re-signing. We were going to get our money cut to a degree, and they weren't going to follow through with the deals that we had initially talked about. So then we chose to leave, and then we were going to ultimately end up going to WWE. And man, like we want to do business the right way. I mean, and I'm sure you know this just from knowing me, John. There's no point in time where me and Jeff, especially if we're leaving, where we would not want to go out and drop the titles in the correct way and try and
You're
make
not
some money.
pulling a that doesn't work for me, brother.
No, I mean, dude, we were on AEW for TV. We didn't win a match on AEW TV for over 11 months. 11 months. And, it was just looking back in hindsight, it's like crazy. Like, what were they doing with us? You know what I mean? It's just, anyway. But with that being said, like we wanted to come back to TNA and we wanted to drop the titles. Like, we'll drop it to whatever team you want. You name it. We'll drop it. They can be as new as you want. They can be as young as you want. It can be Decay if you want, whatever. We want to do business the right way and be honorable about it. But anyway, they didn't do it. I want to say they said they had something from TV in a match we done where we teleported, and then somewhere in teleportation, we crossed over Decay and they intercepted us and they just took the titles and they became champions. And that's how that happened. But then our deal was up, and about 5-6 days later, it worked out. They had a big ROH show in Hammerstein Ballroom, and the lights went out at the end of with the Bucks in the ring, and then we showed up. We challenged them for the titles, and we beat them for the titles. And it was a huge moment, especially in Hammerstein, because I think about when I was there in 2012 or 2013 as Big Money Matt, and they despised me, and they were calling me, Fat Matt, and you suck, and they hated my guts. But then when Jeff and I stepped in, it was like Jesus Christ came back. You know what I mean? It was crazy. But that's one of the cool things about wrestling.
You're bigger than Obama.
When we showed up at Hammerstein, we were bigger than Jesus Christ.
Well, easy there, John Lennon. But I guess what I'm asking is just like, you're having the conversation to come back. Vince, he's got no idea what the Broken Universe is. He has no idea. No. It's not on his radar. He's not paying attention. He just wants to know why people are chanting delete at his shows.
Right.
Someone tells him, oh, well, it's what the Hardy Boys are doing.
And why are the Hardys so hot right now? Why are they so hot?
Okay. So
just like with the Bullet Club, the Bullet Club's hot. He said, I want them all. I want them all. Famous conversation. Oh, the Broken Hardys are hot. I want them. I want them all.
Now, he doesn't know what he's acquiring with that.
He just knows it's hot.
He just knows he wants it. Right. Then Paul Levesque, who, despite what people may want to believe, is very much online and very aware of the things going on
true
in the world.
He's on the pulse of like current wrestling. Yeah.
He knows what's happening across the spectrum. He's keenly aware of what's happening. Do you think he understood the gimmick? Do you think he got it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he had that much time to delve into it. I think he understood why it was over, though, because it was extremely entertaining. And the stuff we were allowed to do was so different, and it was so unique and so outside the box. It was really unique. And just conversations I had with him tell me that he understood that. As far as understanding the gimmick, I think when it's all said and done, as in pro wrestling, he realized it was an entertaining gimmick that people enjoyed.
Do you think, with the benefit of hindsight, you could have shown up at WrestleMania 33 full on as the Broken Hardys and there wouldn't have been any issues?
I think we could have. Ultimately the people that were battling us legally, they tapped out, because it was hard to make that argument. It's hard to make that fight. I think in theory we could have, but I also understand Vince's perspective, because there are going to be a lot of WWE fans that are casual fans that would like see us show up as Broken Man. And they go, what is this? What is this? As opposed to doing a story to get there. If you have Matt and Jeff show up, they know who Matt and Jeff is, because they know their history and they've watched us in the past, and they are familiar with WWE history. So I do think it was the right call to have the Hardy Boys as Matt and Jeff show up at WrestleMania. Could we have transitioned into the Broken Hardys more quickly out of that? Yeah, maybe so, especially if we told a story. But the biggest thing was just that there was those legal issues going on.
Yeah, I think you guys probably had enough equity that you could have debuted as the Broken Hardys. The people at WrestleMania would have known about it, and then you spend the next couple weeks with vignettes explaining who the Broken Hardys are. I think that would
And
have worked.
and
And
we probably could, but I think though too, John, if you don't get that Hardy Boys music, you don't get that same reaction that we got that
I
night.
mean, no doubt, no questions asked. But
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
That's why I feel like that was probably the right call, because I feel like if you have, you know, any version of the Broken Hardys coming out, I mean, you can't have them coming out to the Hardy Boys music, you know, so you have them come out to different music. I think people are excited, and they're going batshit crazy, no doubt, but it's very different. But I just that moment at WrestleMania 33, that may end up being the greatest moment of our career when it's all said and done,
Oh,
because
I think
it's
it definitely will be.
so special and magnificent. I mean, and there's so many things we hold dearly, you know, like the first time we won the WWF tag team titles, because that was our dream. You know, that's what we want to do. Then there was the tag team ladder match, and you know, there was the TLC stuff, TLC 2, where we stole the show. I mean, Jeff and I at WrestleMania. I mean, there's so many great things, but the further we get away from it, that WrestleMania 33 is going to be hard to top. You know, beyond, you know, because it was just it was so different. It was something people thought, like, especially people really in the know, like, well, this could happen. But I mean, I don't know. They wrestled the Bucks last night, 30 minutes, and it's probably not. You know, it still seemed like a very unpredictable surprise whenever we showed up. And that's when wrestling's at its best. And just the emotion that was evoked from people, and the people that were so emotionally invested in seeing us back just around the world, which was crazy. You know, I think we talked about this a little bit before. That's kind of right when the watch along started a lot. Like, just seeing stuff. There were people in Japan, there were people in Australia, there were people, you know, in all over Europe and South America, you know, watching this match and just going crazy and crying and being emotional, and just I can't even put into words properly how much that means to me, and I'm sure it does Jeff as well. It just that those people give enough of a shit about you to actually be emotional because you come back to, you know, what is your home, where you're born and bred.
Now that moment's the climax of your career. Like everything that you had led up to that moment, and everything since then, it's like bonus. You know, like
Right.
the WrestleMania 33 is the very peak of everything you've ever done together and accomplished together, and it's huge. It's one of the biggest moments in WWE history. Legitimately, it's not
Right.
just hyperbole to say that, because it's a show. It truly is one of the biggest moments ever in that company's history. So it's just so fascinating that it wasn't with the actual character that got you there. Uh,
Right.
were there plans? I know you said you talked about, oh, we can do this, we can do this. Were there ever firm plans of we're going to do a Broken Hardys or Woken Hardys run at this time, at this point?
No, not until Jeff got hurt. I think because we were, once again, we were getting these incredible reactions, and you know, Vince loved the Hardys. The Hardys was his creation. You know, the Hardy Boys was his creation. It was his product, and he loved that. And we were, you know, we were moving tickets, we were moving merch like crazy, we were selling things. You know, even though we were, you know, we were older, maybe a step slower, you know, and one, you know, a little less agile, whatever. We were still could work at a pretty high level. He was all into that. But after Jeff got hurt, uh, things opened up, and I think I think Bray probably got in his head a little bit too, because Bray, you know, Wyndham was wanting to do something with me, and it really caught me off guard, because I knew they were doing something with me, because they wanted me to go like on this losing streak for a few weeks where I'm questioning myself and something changed, and I was ready to. I think I've told you this, right? Hadn't we gone into this about how I was going to totally recreate in a whole new character? I had an idea about being full Hardy, Matt Hardy, in some ways. I had some ideas that I'd kind of laid out, but then I showed up at TV that day, and I remember Wyndham was pulling up at the same time. We were there right at call time, and he said, "Hoot, hoot! Have you heard? Have you heard? Have you heard?" I said, "What?" He said, "What we're doing today, man. What we're doing today." And he was like so excited about it. And I said, "No, what are we doing today?" And he said, "We're starting the whole Bray Wyatt Broken Matt Hardy. It's today. We're starting today. You know, we have a match, and then this happens at the end, and you start doing delete, 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 delete. Oh, that's gonna be so cool." And then I remember walking in and talking to Michael Hayes, and Michael said, like, you need to talk to Vince. You need to sit down and talk with him, explain this character. He needs to understand it. We got to get this on his radar so he can understand it. We got to get him understanding this whole Broken Matt Hardy thing. And we've talked about that conversation. It was such a fun conversation with Vince. It was great. But that's where it started, and that was the first time that I knew of any real conversation of doing it. Hunter had said earlier on in our run he would have liked to have done it, but as far as Vince being down for it, this was the first I'd heard of it, and that was after Jeff got hurt, probably 3-4 weeks after Jeff got hurt.
Do you think that there was ever a world where you and Jeff would have done the Broken Woken character with Bray if Jeff was healthy?
Yeah, I think so. Whenever I was going to leave in 2020, when Vince had kind of eyed me, once again, Vince had saw me. He's like, Matt,
he saw you how he saw Devon. Let's call it for what it is. He saw you how he saw Devon and how he transitioned Devon into the producer role. That's what he saw for you.
Well, yeah, but I think too, because I would interact and I would fire back at him and I would make him think about things. I think he saw me as being like a top producer for years to come, I think. And I was like, I'd really like to do this. I'd really like to do this. And he said, okay, well, let me think about some things, and they pitched that whole thing about having, this is when Wyndham was doing The Fiend, and they were talking about, I could be Broken Matt, but then I have this serious killer personality. Jeff could be a fun character, and then he could have this killer personality. One of those could have possibly been Willow or Brother Nero, whatever. And then, Bray had the Firefly Funhouse as Fun Bray, and then he was The Fiend. And putting us together. And like, dude, I mean, that was a huge selling point. But then from knowing Vince as good as I knew him and the way he was, I know there's been dozens of times where he's told people, hey, we're going to do this with you, blah, blah, blah. Let's resign. We'll do this. I think we would have probably started that, and then he would have killed it very quick. And then I would have just been a producer, and I would have been there for whatever number of years I've signed for. Because I just didn't have the confidence he would follow through with that. And then right when I'd left, there was times where Triple H reached out to me and he's like, hey, if you can do something, I know Vince is like hell-bent on you being a producer, a coach. And if you're cool with doing that, I'll still push to see if we can get you to work. Maybe you can work on the main roster here and there in between doing that, but still kind of be a producer. We'll try and bounce it out. He said, I'll bring you to TNA. And I know you love doing,
NXT, I mean.
What's that?
NXT, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, what did I say?
You said TNA.
Oh, sorry. Yes, NXT. Sorry. Too many promotions I'm working for right now. And he said, maybe we could bring you to NXT and we could have you do Broken Matt Hardy, and I could put 3 or 4 young guys around you, and you could be the leader, and that way these guys could do a lot of the workload when it comes to working, and you could do some stuff with them too. Almost I think like when Eric Young was doing the whole sanity thing, something along those lines. He said, and I would love to, I'd love to do that. And I know how much the Broken Matt Hardy character means to you. Like, I would love to do that, and we can put you in a good spot, prevalent spot there in NXT, and we can still do it. And then maybe, you could still go up and, be a producer and coach and this, that, and the other thing. And that was like right when my deal was running out. And I think I had just decided, like, I think AEW might be the place to go, because I'll still be able to work and I'll be able to make pretty good money, and the Bucks are there, and I trusted those guys to take really good care of me, and then obviously as time went on, the Bucks, kind of in the big scheme of things lost power from a, booking perspective, EVP perspective or whatever. But, it is what it is. That's ultimately how I got to that decision, because I was worried they were going to take in-ring pro wrestling away from me altogether, and Vince was just going to stick me as a producer. And I still wanted to physically be in the ring, because that's what I love. And if I can do it, I want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, had you done it, you probably wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now. So that's
the
way to look at it.
If I wouldn't have taken that path, there's no way I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. I'd be retired. And I would be with Shane Helms. I'd be one of the top producers in WWE right now, working side by side with the Hurricane Shane Helms.
Take 2 weeks off and retire.
I should have done that 30 years ago, John.
It's true. Take 2 weeks off and retire. What a world. Well, the Broken Hardys are coming to WWE. We're going to see it. Dave hopped in here via WrestlingCoinOutlet.com, said, love the vignette last night. Excited to see what y'all come up with on Saturday. So we'll see what you come up. Did you like the vignette?
Yes, I was very happy with the vignette. And it's fun that this is, I will say this, that is the deepest both Jeff and I have been into the lake, and we submerged and
Yeah,
swam.
that was a bold call there, man.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we were like committed to it. I mean Jeff said too. Jeff said, "Yeah, man, I'm fully committed," and it was interesting. Like it's funny because my wife had just made a video whenever it was on. And it was cool because JB was saying, like, let's do a throwback. Let's get the whole gang. Let's have a cameo by, King Maxwell and the kids and have Rebby with the piano and have Senior Benjamin. That, JB had that idea. And I was like, that sounds great. And he even said, Sean said, like, hey, like, I don't know all about this stuff. Sean's the best, man. I like Shawn Michaels. He's so great. I don't know all about this stuff, but I know people like it. So like, just whatever you think you should do, just do. Okay. Just do. And we ended up doing that the vignette, and we kind of had all those cameos in there, but then we tried to tell the story, like, all the Dark State, they murdered us with these weapons and we're all beat up. And we've done that in the past where when Jeff took Janice that time and when I took him into the lake, we had some fun with it. He came out as the Antichrist one time and I had to put him back. Not that Jeff, I need, Brother Nero, and, do that deal, come back out as Broken Man, Brother Nero. And when Rebby was talking about this as it was on, she's like, yeah, how was that water? I said, well, it wasn't, and I was trying to think of the proper word to describe it. And she said, filtered. I said, yes, it wasn't quite filtered like the bull was. It was a little different to swim underwater in that pond. It was quite different, but
probably
once again, man, you got to commit to the bit, brother.
Probably gotta get the fuck in the shower from her.
Oh no, yeah, that was definitely a getting the fuck in the shower immediately thereafter. Yeah.
You like AI, Matt Hardy? There was a lot of AI in that video.
It was interesting, man. Once again, it was cool how they were able to do that and give like a look of maybe how the transformation happens underneath the water, as opposed to that's always been left up to the imagination before. It's so crazy. I say it like Jeff does, imagination. I break the word up. But yeah, no, I was okay for it. I thought that if you're gonna use that, I thought that was a decent time to use it.
Just think, there were like 5 water bottles worth of water used to produce the Lake of Reincarnation footage for the AI. That's a big story this week, man. There was a lot of AI talking wrestling. You can have ChatGPT writing your Broken Matt promos going forward now?
No, I'm still writing mine.
That's good. That's good. Bro, I've heard of some wrestlers using ChatGPT to write their promos.
Dude, I honestly, I don't have any of that stuff. My wife is like current with that stuff, but I don't have any of that shit. And I have no interest in any of it either.
Good. Leave it that way. That's,
as far as that goes. It was just like, dude, like technology has already dumbed us down way too much as it is anyway. Like, it really, really has. Like, I think about this back in the day in WWE, all around the United States. I remembered how to drive everywhere. I mean, I would like take an atlas, and like Jeff would drive and I would like read the map because he wasn't too talented at reading a map. He's really talented doing Swanton zone. But I would read the map and do that. But then I would drive back and I fucking remembered how to drive everywhere. And now you get in the car and you put on that GPS and like, you're so dependent on that. It's just, really has like technology is a great thing, but I think everyone overutilizes technology and kind of dumps everybody down to it.
Bro, writing promos, laying out matches with AI, where is the creativity? Where is the art? There's no art in that. That scares me.
Have you heard of someone laying out a match with AI?
Sure have.
That sounds insane.
It sure is. Because all you do, like, say you want to work, I don't know. Say you're a few guys on the indies, and this indie that you're working is like, hey, we're going to do a ladder match on this show. You've never laid out a ladder match before. Rather than doing studying of other Hardy Boys matches or other ladder matches that have ever happened, Razor and Sean, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. No,
You
we
go
are
into-
the ladders. We're the
you go-
tables too now, by the way.
You are. You go into ChatGPT and you say, I'm a pro wrestler. I have a ladder match coming up. Lay out an entire ladder match for me from start to finish using these as reference and throwing the YouTube links into those famous ladder matches. And it's going to spit out an entire ladder match, move for move, using those as reference point. So it's not actually coming up with anything creative. It's just compiling data and spitting it out and saying, this is how you do it based on what I see out there. There's no creative art to that. I've absolutely heard of indie wrestlers doing this. I've heard of some contracted performers using ChatGPT and other stuff to help lay out their matches and promos. Scary, man. Not good.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, it's not good. There's no, like, isn't the fun in wrestling the fact of exercising your creativity and bringing ideas to the table that you came up with?
I mean, I don't know. As the future goes forward, too, there's going to be a battle between people that are still willing and able to use their, faculties, their mind,
their brain,
their own thoughts and their brains, as opposed to just like letting the computer tell them everything to do, and then their brain just turns to mush.
Dude, it's brutal. I mean, there's going to be a big generational gap, even in your kids' generation that are going to grow up.
They're already. I mean, I still fight. My kids do like to go outside. They like to swim. They like to run the woods. But still, they don't understand. Like they go, "Oh, you didn't play the iPad. You didn't run on the computer. You didn't do this." And it's just like, bro, I don't think you understand. Like with me and Tio here, it was just we were in the woods and that was it. We had to like build hideouts. We had to use our, our own imagination to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, and look, at least even in the internet era, you still had to do things yourself. I mean, with AI, it's like you don't, and that's scary. That's really scary. And there's no creativity with it because all it's doing is pulling data from everywhere else and giving you a hypothetical. This is what it should be based on everything else. And you have graphic designers getting laid off because it's easier to just make something with AI. And it's like, man, it's not actually creating anything of substance. It's just pulling from examples that exist out there and creating something in one. Like Dave here's joking. He's like, clothesline, no sell, pop-up German, double down, ChatGPT. That's literally what it is. That's like, it will lay out a match verbatim like that. And that's just nuts to me. Crazy.
Whenever I am a producer in the WWE, I am going to ban ChatGPT.
Yes, you should delete it. Delete it.
Yes, it must be deleted.
Oh my goodness. And then it's going to spit back a broken Matt promo at you and you'll be like, wait, what? And Vanguard 1's going to physically be speaking to you. Just wait. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. Don't use ChatGPT. Tell those dark side guys there's no ChatGPT that is going to be allowed to help lay this broken rules match together. But that's coming to you at Halloween Havoc. It's going to be a cool time seeing the Hardys in action doing their thing. And if you want to see them in action, you come out to New York City November 22nd before AW Full Gear right across the river in New Jersey. It's the Hardy Party, live Matt Hardy podcast, live Brother Nero concert. HardyBoysLive.com is where you can get your tickets for that. And we want you to join us. Advertise with Hardy.com. Promote your business to the extreme. Get it out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week. That's Advertise with Hardy.com. Matt, anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, one thing I would like to say that something I am very proud of. This is something you guys can take and run with this as a news bit. I am very proud of Anthem's growth. We talked about earlier when they first purchased the company, and just kind of some of the battles we had when Jeff Jarrett kind of came in to be like talent relations, and the guy that was kind of overcharge of talent. It's cool how Anthem started off as a place that didn't really have wrestling experience and the people in it weren't super familiar with wrestling. And then as time went on, they grew. They had some other people come in that knew wrestling. They had Scott D'Amore for a while, Ariel was there for a while. And now we've got in this position where there's Carlos and Tommy Dreamer is booking. And I think Hunter Delirious is doing a great job as well with, with his giving people ideas with characters and angles and promos and whatnot. It's just a great team. It's such a team that is working for the greater good now. And I couldn't be more proud of the growth of TNA and what Anthem has allowed TNA to do. And I think some very exciting things are on the horizon. I think from what I'm hearing, like by the end of this year, first of next year, there's going to be a new media rights deal announced, which is going to be it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for TNA, just being somewhere where we can get more eyeballs on the product, because I do think we have a very solid product now, and I like what we're doing, and the fact that we have grown, especially in attendance and the ticket sales and the buy rates. I do need to get a good idea of what kind of buy rate this Bound for Glory did. I felt like it did really, really well. But I'm proud of everybody, because everyone has busted their ass. They've worked really hard. Proud of guys like Nick Nemeth that came and, like, was waving the TNA flag. Proud of Joe Henry, who became a viral sensation doing that. Proud of Mike Santana, who has an amazing story, a great human being, and I love everything he's done now that he is the champion and brought the TNA title back home. Proud of WWE for allowing TNA to work with them and have this partnership. It's opened up so many cool doors, and it's also opened up this door of us returning to WWE and doing stuff at NXT. And, we're having this huge match coming up. And I think this partnership and us returning to WWE, I think this thing we're doing at NXT is just the beginning of a lot of really, really cool stuff.
There you go. The words have been spoken. We'll see you next time right here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Delete!
My skin's dying because you're under it. I'm done lying to myself for this. For all the wonder and believing that it's making me weak. I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete. My skin's dying. I'm done lying.
Hey everybody, so by now you've heard me bragging about saving people money at savewithconrad.com for years, but I thought, you know what, don't take my word for it. Let's ask someone who really did save with Conrad. Let's welcome in Tyrus. Tyrus, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, Conrad. How about yourself?
Man, I'm delighted to talk to you. I got to ask, what made you come to Save with Conrad originally?
Well, first, I'm a return shopper, if you will. I was listening to the podcast years ago now with you and Bruce, and I just figured we were in the mode for a refinance, and I heard you guys save money, so I called you guys, got hooked up with Jimmy way back then, and that's really how the ball started to roll.
So initially you were interested in lowering your monthly payments, or did you want to knock out some credit card debt, or what was your goal the first time you went to savewithconrad.com?
It was mostly just to get the lower rate, but there's a little bit of credit card debt in there too, so we rolled that all up.
And you got a cheaper monthly payment on the other side of that?
Yeah, yep. And with this time that I used, it saved me quite a bit a month. Yeah.
So let's talk about what brought you back to Save with Conrad. First of all, thank you for using us not once but twice. I appreciate that. But that was your needs back then. When was that? Was that 2020 that you did that before?
Yeah, it was around that, maybe 2019, somewhere around that.
Okay. So now a few years later, your needs have changed. What prompted you to go to savewithconrad.com this time?
Well, we were looking to refinance once again because we bought during the high rate time, and we had, a little bit of credit card debt, and we thought, why not hit that refinance button? And originally we were thinking, why not just go through the national brand that was servicing our loan? I called one of them over there, and he crunched the numbers, and he said, no can do. Sorry. And then I thought, I'll just stay with Conrad again. And I called, and the delightful Frances answered, and you know her.
Oh, yeah.
And the first thing after I told her what the national brand said, she just said, are they stupid? We can save you money. And she got the ball rolling. I worked with OG Larry, and saving $425 a month.
All right. I love to hear that, man. $425 a month. I love that, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
If you had someone who was on the fence, because I know that there's a lot of people who just know me as the wrestling podcaster, but if you had someone who listens to my pods and they're on the fence about whether or not this is a real service and can he really do this? I mean, What would you say to that?
Absolutely do it. It worked for me multiple times, from Jimmy way back when to Francis and Larry. It just, the whole team, they just had nothing but great things to say. They're easy to work with. They worked well with the inspectors and everything like that. It's just a great experience, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to help save you some money, and I would be delighted if we could help save you and your family some money. Do what Tyrus did. Go right now to savewithconrad.com. You can talk to a live person, get a quick quote, or just drop us an email directly at conrad@savewithconrad.com. And of course, we can still do it the old school way. Give us a call toll free at 888-425-0105. Thanks for all the time today, Tyrus. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Conrad.
NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Savewithconrad.com.